G2 the Vibe Podcast coming to another episode. I appreciate you guys rocking with. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share the channel for me so we can get this thing pushed out. Today I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be called walking through the fire. So what happens when you are walking through the fire, understanding that God is with you as you walk through the fire. There's a couple verses I'm going to read, and then I'm just going to talk about my personal experience walking through the fire. Um, Isaiah 43:2 says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, you will not sweep away. They will not sweep you. Sorry. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. So as you walk through the waters, I will be with you. So he starts out by saying, I will be with you. So as you walk through these different aspects and different parts of life, God is saying, I am right there with you as you walk through these things, right? And these things cannot take you down. These things you can't be swept away by the river. You can't be burned by the fire. So we're built in Jesus Christ to be able to withstand the heat inside the fire. So the fires of life that happen to us, we are definitely 100% capable of fighting our way through it. Next verse I want to read before I dive into my experience, Daniel 3:23 and 25. I don't know how many of you guys know about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but that's what we're going to read about here. And it's crazy because in this verse at the end, there's a profound description of a fourth person in the fiery furnace. They describe him as the Son of God. They're saying it looks like the Son of God. Okay, verse 23. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So you got to think about it. They're down in this heat, this fire, and typically when people go down into these places, they don't come back, right? You burn to death. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astonished, rose up to his haste and spake, and said unto his counselors, did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? So he's talking to the other people who are around and saying, did we not just cast these three men into the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. So there is a response that says, yes, we saw it, we witnessed it, we did cast them down into the fire. He answered and said, lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. So not only are they bound and thrown down into the fiery furnace, but they're walking in the midst of the fire, flames around them, unburned, unscathed, untouched. And they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. So they describe a fourth being down there, and they say it's like the Son of God. So just like what is said in Isaiah 43:2, I will be with you, Christ said. So the Son of God is with them in the fire, in the flames, in the burning, in the ashes, in the rubble, whatever it may be. It reminds me of a song, Surrounded. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. So let's talk about my experience. 2025 has been quite the year for me. God has definitely put me in the fire. But what I realized throughout 2025 is that God is with me in the flames. God is guiding me through the flames so that I may not be hurt or harmed. The fire, the fire is really, when I think about it in practical life and living, it's really the trials and tribulations of life. Like those are the things that'll happen. And sometimes you feel that burn, sometimes you feel that pain, right? But when God is with you, it can't overcome you, is essentially what's being said here. So I'm with you. You can't be overcome by these things because I am with you. And so what I learned is that when you're out here and you're battling and things are happening in your life, you got to put on the armor of God in order for you to fight these battles, in order for you to be able to prosper in these battles, right? And so what he's saying here is profound to me. It's crazy because I've read this story a couple times in Daniel, and you know what? I never really let the last part click to me. In the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. So something about the form and the posture and just the overall abundance and filling of the fourth person the fourth being that they describe led them to believe that it was the Son of God, right? So within the fire, within the flames, these men are being led. They're unburned, they're unhurt, they're unscathed by a form, a figure that literally gives off the image, the proclamation that that is the Son of God that is in there with them. Crazy. Another image, another imagery. Matthew's when Peter is on the boat and you can see the being coming over the horizon walking on water, and he says, he asks, is that you? Jesus replied, yes, it's me. But Peter said, well, if it's you, then ask me to come to you, right? And so Jesus said, okay, all right, well, come on out here, Peter. So Peter hops up out the boat. And it's crazy that in these two contexts, when you look at how it's a being, it's something about the magnificence of Jesus Christ that they just know. They just know. These counselors just knew, right? The king Nebuchadnezzar just knew. He said, "Man, that's got to be the Son of God down there. They could not be anybody else that was leading these three men through the fire in the furnace, through the fiery furnace." So when you're led by Jesus Christ, nothing can scathe you, nothing can hurt you. Now you may feel some pain, you may feel some hurt, but no weapon formed against you is going to prosper, because God really is the ultimate level of protection, right? And so as I entered into 2025, as I entered into the year, and I started to realize that life changes were coming, right? And what I began to realize is this: God will take away from you the things that do not lead you to him. So if you're being led away from him, you got two choices, right? And I had two choices. I was in a career field that changed how I was as a man. I had to give it up, right? It became who I was. Not just a job, it became who I was. So I was literally entrenched, and that was my identity. My identity was that of a police officer. I became, that was my life. That was my lifeblood. That was who I was. I was no longer a Christian. I was no longer a son of God. I was a police officer. I was Officer Thompson with pride, right? And so you say that with pride and enthusiasm, but what I didn't realize was what it was changing on the inside. It was changing some things in me that made me become a person that I did not want to become. So God stripped me of that and started walking me through the fire. I lost an aunt and an uncle within a span of 2 months. Within a span of 2 months. And so I was losing and I was losing and I was losing and I was continuing to lose, right? And sometimes when you're losing, when you're in the fire, right, you forget that God built you. He built you to be able to withstand the flames. And so I forgot that I could withstand the flames. And so what I did was I thought, okay, well, on my own accord, I can fight this battle myself. Let me go get the armor of GT on, and I'm about to go out here and go to war, right? No, that's not exactly how it's supposed to go down. Right? So the losses continued. I continued to lose and lose and lose and lose, not understanding that God was chipping away at the pride that was inside my heart, right? The pride in the issues that I had. And so sometimes, in order for us to be able to grow in Jesus Christ, we have to walk through the fire. And what I've learned through walking through the fire of 2025 is that God is with you. And that if the fire turns you to him, the fire was meant for you. It's not like when you get a job and you're like, man, I become this person. I'm almost I'm a firefighter. I'm not making fun of firefighters. Don't beat me up. I'm a firefighter. That's who I am, right? That job took you away from Jesus, so Jesus takes the job away from you. Now you're walking through the fires of depression because you lost something. You lost a career. You lost an opportunity. You lost your identity because you found your identity rooted in whatever the job or whatever the occupation was that you had. And so God has to put you through the fire. And so that's what he did. And even through those losses, I still didn't get it. I still was not 110% on board with what God had planned for me. I trusted in him, and I learned to trust in him over time. I learned to trust whatever he had and his divine ways was for me, because he would never put something in here in my path. He would never put me in a situation that was going to be against me. He is for me 110%. I had to trust that. I had to trust that. But what I also had to trust is that as the flames continued to burn, continued to fester, continued to smolder, they got bigger, right? That God had my hand in this walk, this new journey that He was putting me on within my life. He had my hand and He was walking with me step by step, changing me, pulling back the shell that I created that protected me from the world, but now was protecting me from God. That was keeping me. It was a wall that I built up to protect me from the people that were in the world, and that wall was not even protecting me. It was keeping my blessing. That wall was keeping my blessing 110%. And so I can't get the blessing until the shell that I built up is released. And so sometimes, in order for you to get the shell that you built up released, you have to go through the fire, guys. You have to go through the fire. And going through the fire is the ultimate level of faith, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other end. And let me tell you guys, I became okay with the unknown. And let me tell you, that's a tough thing. A lot of people that know me know that when it comes to unknown, I'm like, dude, I got to know what's going to happen next. And what I realized is this: I had more joy in the moments that I was living because I didn't know what was going to happen next. My mind could not focus on the next step because I was in the current step. And so when I was in the current step and I didn't know what the next step was going to be, I rejoiced in the current step that God had me in. Within the process, it is good. Within the process, it is good. Brother Trey told me the other day, we were talking about Genesis, how God formed the earth, but he in every single step, before the process was completely done, He said it is good. He said it is good. Genesis chapter 1. It is good. So even in the process that you're going through in life, guess what, guys? It is good. It is good. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. So He said, it is good. So even at the beginning of the process, when you just take that first step of faith, it is good. Huge. So as I continue my journey and I continue to learn about myself and I continue to grow in spirit, my relationship with God got tighter and tighter and tighter. And what caused my relationship with God to become tighter is I was no longer relying on myself. The shell that I built had to go through the fire for me to receive the blessing. And part of the blessing on the other side was it's okay. I learned that I am not alone. I learned that though we struggle at times, the struggle does not define who we are as an individual rooted in Jesus Christ. I learned that my identity comes from God. If you're walking around right now and you don't have an identity, I implore you, find your identity in God. So as my journey continued, I continued to walk through the fire, continue to walk through the flames, and I did not know the flames were about to get bigger. And so the flames started to get bigger, and guess what? I was more at peace in the flames than I was when there were no flames in my life at all. Last year, I was in mass chaos. Nothing really going wrong in my life. I was just in mass chaos. But now, in the flames, in the fire, I have found peace. How did I find peace? Because I found my peace in the Lord. The Prince of Peace. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. So in order for there to be peace and abundance, you have to literally be within the Lord. Allow Him to bring you the type of peace that people can't bring you. People can't bring you the type of peace that Jesus is going to bring you. Absolutely, positively not. He cannot do that. So you have to understand that sometimes the fire is meant, right? Is meant to cut away that outer shell, that protection from the world. Some people protect themselves from the world so much that they're actually cutting God out too. Cutting God out. And so as Christians, what we have to realize is this. We need to be protected, but we need to be protected with the armor of God. Because the armor of God protects us from evil. When we create our own armor, we might actually be protecting ourselves from the one that is trying to help us the most. So as I continue my journey walking through fire, guys, I'm led with these final thoughts, these final words for you. This is what I got for you, these final words. In the fire, the flames, the burning, some of the most precious pillars, I'll call them pillars, rocks, pillars, whatever you want to call them, of your life, the foundation, the fundamental pieces of your life are created. Some of the most foundational and fundamental pieces of your life are created while you're going through the fire. So don't be afraid of the fire. Don't be afraid of the flames. Understand that God is with you. And where he walks, where he goes, I'll go. Where he points to, if he says, go over here, I'm going over there. Right? If you don't have that mindset, it's going to be hard for you to walk through the flames. This is GT Divide Podcast. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel. Again, walking through fire. I'm out.